In this tutorial, I'm going to do a quick tutorial on managing layers in Photopea. It's a very important part of the process. You've got to keep yourself organized. You've got to know what's on your layers and where things are. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, you notice right now I've got transform controls turned on. My move tool, transform controls. The bounding box goes around the layer that is currently active. How do I know it's this shops one? It's dark. It means that's the layer that's active and we can do things with. We can edit or move or rescale. Okay, so before I begin too far, let's get rid of those guides. They're a bit of annoyance right now, so I'm going to go Command H and hide them. Okay, then I've got the Carnival layer. Again, it's over here in the middle. There's the bounding box and Isla Docs. The bounding box extends up. Now, why does it go way up here? Remember the last tutorial I had that extra blue here? Let's take care of that right now. We're on that layer. You always select the layer first. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Make sure you're on the right layer, and I'll show you two ways to do it in this tutorial. Select the layer, select the tool. I want to use the marquee tool. Okay, M is the shortcut, M. I'm going to be on rectangular. I'm going to click and I'm going to click around it. Now it doesn't matter if I go way across these other pictures because they're not on this layer. I'm not selecting them even though it looks like I am. I'm only selecting what's on the Isla Docs, which is just this part here. Okay, and I'm going to hit delete. It deletes it because it's been rasterized. I'm going to lose that selection that I've made. I can either go select, deselect, or Command D. I always use Command D. It's much quicker. And then what I'm going to do is go back to my move tool, shortcut letter V. There it is there. It's selected. See how the bounding box now doesn't extend up? It's because now I've trimmed this layer so it's just this. And then I'm just going to snap it back up. Command plus. Okay, hand tool. Hold the space bar and drag around. You got to keep holding that space bar. And then let's zoom in a bit more. Command plus. Drag it around. Are we snapped right in? Look at that. Beautiful. Let's turn off the transform controls. Good. Command minus, minus, minus 3 times to get it to its usual size here. Okay, I'm going to turn off those guides. Command H. And there we go. There we have 3 layers. 1, 2, 3 on top of a white background. It is locked, the white background. If you want to ever lock or unlock, you simply click it to unlock it if there's a lock, or you select up here and lock a layer. That's going to be very handy at times when you want to make sure you don't mess up a layer that you've spent a lot of time working on. You might want to lock it. Okay, the rest of these I'm free to edit on because they're unlocked. Now, these names aren't particularly useful. Isla Doc, KLM, blah, 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 right? To change the name, rename a layer, which you're going to have to do for every project or you will lose marks because it's an important part of the process. Double click the name. It turns blue. It means it's selected. It's ready to edit. Don't hit delete like so and then type. It's a waste of time. Command Z gets you back. So I've gone back a step. Command Z, it's highlighted again. I'm just going to type in Isla Doc. Okay, and then hit enter. It accepts the change. Next one, again, double click the name. It's highlighted, means it's selected. I can edit it. I'm going to call it, well, let's see what it is. Select the layer, turn on transform controls if you're not sure. We are in this case, but just in case. Oh, look where the bounding box is. That's dancers. I'm going to call that dancers. Turn off the transform controls. Double click the name and call it dancers. There we go. Enter. Third one is shops, Pinterest. We know it's this one on the left here. Double click it and type in shops. Quick quiz. What kind of an object is this? If you said it's a smart object, you're correct. These two have been rasterized so we could trim them. We didn't have to trim that shops one because that was the size we were basing everything on. That's still a smart object. Okay, so now we've got our layers renamed. So let's say I don't want to use the shops. I want to get rid of this layer. How do I delete a layer? Right click and delete. That's simple. Okay, Command Z in Photopea goes back. If I go Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, it just keeps going back, back, back. Watch how the names will change. See that? Names are changing because I'm undoing what I've been doing. Command Z keeps going back. In Photoshop, Command Z or Control Z will go back and then it'll undo and it'll redo. Undo and redo back and forth so you can compare. Okay, that's not the case with Photopea. It just keeps going back. Now I want to redo the naming, but I don't have to type it all out again. I'm going to go Shift Command Z to go forward. See? Stepping forward, and it's accepting those changes I had in my history before. Here's my history up here, and I don't use it that much. I probably should, but I don't. But that's where we're stepping forwards or backwards. Good. Okay, so right-click, delete. Okay, want it back, Command Z gets it back. Another way to delete a layer is to click, left-click, drag it, and drag it to the trash can, the recycling bin. Okay, Command Z to bring it back because I didn't mean to do that. How do I make a new layer if I want to put something on a brand new layer? Well, if it's an image, it'll make a layer by itself. All these images are on their own. But if I wanted to make purposely a layer myself, I'm going to click on Dancers, make it active. And then to make a new layer, you go down here to the New Layer tab. There it is, it pops up. Click it, and you see that Layer 1 is the new layer. It just gives it a generic name. And the new layer is created above the layer you were on. I was on Dancers, so it made the new layer on just above the layer I was on. Command Z to get rid of it. I'm going to go to Isla. I'm going to make a new layer, and we should get a layer between Dancers and Isla. New layer, and there it is. Dancers, Isla, and there's our new layer. Command Z, that's how you make a new layer. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? We want to talk about the importance of the layer hierarchy. Okay, first of all, if you're not seeing layers, go to Window and click on Layers, and it'll appear. Don't be on Channels or Path, be on Layers. Okay, so anytime you don't have a panel you might want to see, they're under Window, and you'll see a bunch of them. Tools, if you ever lost your toolbar, that's how you get it back. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to show you how these layers stack. So right now, whatever's on top is sort of the dominant layer. What do I mean by that? Well, I've selected the layer first. Select the Move tool, letter V, shortcut to get us to the Move tool. And I can now move this layer around. And I'm going to stack that Shops layer over top of the Dancers. The Shops is on top of Dancers. It's covering the Dancers because it's on top. If I turn off the Shops layer, there's the Dancers. Okay? So I've changed right now whether I'm seeing the Dancers or the Shops. Now what if I want to get quickly to this Dancers layer without going, oh, I got to go over here and click it, like so. I don't want to have to do that every time because moving the mouse takes time. It's irritating. You can hit the wrong thing. It's just irritating. A quick way to do it is especially if you've got two images or layers stacked like this, right click on the top of them and see I get two choices. It tells me whatever is underneath my cursor where I clicked. We've got two layers under my cursor. We've got the Shops layer. If I select it, it'll stay selected. If I right click and select Dancers, it'll move it to the Dancers layer. And if I take a third layer and bury it down here somewhere, notice the Docs is underneath of the other two layers, just like you visually see it here. It's actually done that way because of the order that they appear in the stack. The top layers are always on top of the lower layers. What if I want the Docs to be on top? I'm going to left click, drag the Docs, and I'm going to drag it, try to get it all the way to the top, but it doesn't always go to the top. It can be frustrating. So I'm going to stop one layer short of the top, which is just below Shops, and drop it there. Okay, now it's in between. Docs is in between these two other layers. So how am I going to get it on top? I'm actually going to do the Shops, and I'm going to just drag them down. See that black thick line in between layers? That's where it's going to drop it when I let go. Okay, so Isla Docs is now on top of the Shops and the Dancers. Cool? Okay, so that's how the layer hierarchy works. It's very important that you understand that concept because that's going to come into play as you start to build what are called composites when you're merging a bunch of stuff together. Okay, the other thing is, what if I want to duplicate a layer? Say I need 2 copies of this one right here. How am I going to do it? Well, I could select that layer. Let me turn on transform controls to make it clear, and I'm just going to drag it over here. Okay, I want to duplicate this. Right click, just like delete, except now I'm going to duplicate the layer. Say, well, sir, nothing happened. Well, visually nothing happened, but if you look in your layer stack, you'll see that you've got Isla Docs, the original, and you've got Isla Doc with, it says copy. That's the duplicated version of this layer. So why don't I see it? Well, think about it. Because it's duplicated it precisely as it was, so all I need to do is be on that copied layer, and there it is there. It's like magic. Okay? So that's one way. Right click and duplicate layer. I was on the docs again. I've made a third copy. Look at that. Cool, right? So I've got 3 copies. I don't want to do 3 copies. I want to get rid of them to show you another way. So I'm going to right click, select this copy here. That's the layer it's on. Right click, delete. Oh, it's gone over here automatically. I can see because the transform controls are on, which is this layer. I'm going to right click and delete, and it leaves me with the original Isla doc. Okay, so what else do we want to do? Show you another way to duplicate layers. You can do it by the right click. Again, you're moving the mouse back and forth a lot. It takes time. Real quick way to do it is just go, click on the image you want to duplicate, hold down the Option key on a Mac. I think it's the Alt key on a Windows. Hold it down, click, and drag. And look at that. You're dragging out a duplicate. And there it is. Okay, if I want to duplicate this one up here, okay, it's active. I've selected the layer first. Option, drag, and now I've got another copy. If I want to select the dancers, I can right click, select dancers, I'm on that layer, Option, and I can drag and then say, oh, it's too big. I can go up to the corner. I'm in the copy now and make sure I'm on the move tool. Go to the corner up here and I can hold shift and rescale it. And then I can reposition it and say, yep, that's what I wanted to do, and accept my change. A couple of more quick tips working with layers. Just a reminder that what we're doing here with these little eyeballs here, that shows or hides a layer. So I can click and then see how it's, as I turn it off, I'm hiding that layer. I can pick another one, shops here, let's click it. It hides it. What if I want to hide about 3 or 4 at once? You can click, drag down, and it turns off the layers as you roll over the eyeball, and then let go. And you're only left viewing these 2. Turn off the dancer layer, and now I'm left with 1. Turn off transform controls. Okay, I'm going to turn them back on. Click on the dancer copy, click and drag up, and you reveal them all. Then the last thing I want to show you is, watch what we can do here. Say, okay, I've got this copy, I've got this shops copy, and I've got this dancer's copy. I don't need any of those. I could delete them one at a time, or if I hold the command key, I can select individual layers. Look at that. I can select 3. I can select any layers I want by holding command and individually adding to my selection of layers. I want the copy, so I would select that. What if I wanted to select everything from shops up for some reason? You select the first layer in the range it's called, hold shift and click wherever you want that range of selection to end. I'll take it one below the top. So I've now selected those 3 in a row. A range is files or layers all in a row. A range is layers that are all in a row. Notice there's no unselected layers in between. You say, oh, I forgot one. Click the bottom again, hold shift, go up. Or holding shift, you can say, oh, I wanted to actually end here. Still holding shift, click there, and oops. So that's how you manage your layers in Photopea. It's an important part of the process. Naming your layers with correct information is important, especially when you add shapes. It'll just say shape 1 when it adds something. You need to describe that shape, tell it what shape it is and what color it is. Your photos should have an easily identifiable name. Mine were a little bit confusing. So make sure you rename your layers. Make sure they're in the right order, the right hierarchy in your layer stack. Okay, so that If you want this one here, let's delete that. Let's hold Command, delete that and that. I'm going to hit delete. There we go. And you can rearrange the hierarchy of layers in your stack just by clicking and dragging. Okay, so get used to using layers in Photopea. Take your images, drag them around, duplicate them, make new layers, do all of these things, practice, 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 and then in the end, you can just simply Command Z, Command Z, Command Z to get it back where you started, as long as you don't go past 30 different edits. Okay, have fun, get to learn to know how to work around the workspace of Photopea.